Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Morning, Bill.
I got my singing tunes on. I'm scratching my throat over here.
Yeah, that was good.
Episode number 220.
Wow, that's even.
Podcast 220. How to prepare and sell property quickly and easily.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We're working the further end of the chain on this, aren't we, lately? Like, not buying them, but, you know, I think people sometimes get nervous about buying something or a house unless they know how to get it, sold off and stuff. So this end is good. Makes people more reassured, I bet you.
I have a fashion.
Yeah, what's your fashion?
So I did something, and I'm probably going to get support tickets on this, but whatever. So I did something I thought is cool as shit, Peter.
Yeah?
Sometimes I have these ideas. Sometimes.
Bill, you always have ideas. That's your problem. Always ideas. What's this one?
I created a Google document, mostly for myself, but I have my VA working on it to put it in software right now. I took the 8 compartments we spoke of.
Yeah.
A couple of podcasts ago.
The 8 compartments of real estate.
Right, creative real estate.
Creative real estate.
So I took the 8 compartments and I put one compartment on each page. So I made 8 pages in the document.
Uh-huh.
And I sat here for about, 3 or 4 hours over the weekend, I think on Sunday morning, because I didn't have a coaching interview. I usually have coaching interviews on Sunday, so I decided to steal that time.
Yep.
And I plugged all the podcasts into the appropriate compartments.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Now there's a good crazy idea.
So what happened was my son-in-law, okay, who is not exactly a ball of energy, but a great guy, right? Yeah. I mean, he works and stuff, but you know, he's the epitome of a millennial.
Yeah, they work all day. They go home. They're done.
And they work on their computer. He's a great father. He's a great husband, but you know, getting them to cut the grass at the end of the week is like, I think that's about the only thing she gets out of him, right?
Oh,
so he keeps saying he wants to do real estate. He wants to do real estate. So she's like, what do I do that? And I'm like, well, I'll give him this and I'll give him that, you know, because whatever. Anyways, that's when I got this brainstorm. I should make this checklist for Josh, my son-in-law, on which podcast to listen to for which thing. And then I woke up the next morning with this idea. So I actually have this Google document that I've created that I'm working on. I actually I found this software called I think it's called Quick something, I forgot, but it's a checklist that I'm expecting soon. So if somebody wants it and sends me a support ticket on it, I can give them a link, and it actually has a checklist where you could check off when you've listened to each podcast, and you can go through the 8 compartments and listen to the podcast pertaining to the topic, which is like time blocking, deal making, offer structure, and it's all segmented.
You know, that's really, really good, because we always criticized, you know, people who train this. You go to their sites and there's just so much stuff there. And that's why we made our startup boot camp, so we have one place that everything is in a beautiful sequence. If you want to learn, start at the beginning, get to the end. But what about the rest of our podcast? So you just organized that. Nice job. That's something I should have thought of.
Yeah, exactly, Peter. What are you doing over there anyways? The fashion is...
Bill, I was cutting the grass.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. The fashion is, we have a lot of podcasts, but when we talk about preparing the house or selling, I mean, there's some, but then I get into, you know, I don't have the notes in front of me, but I get into, actually, let me pull it up, because I know we're not supposed to be talking about this, but I realize that all of our podcasts are all in like a couple of the buckets, and I'm not doing a good job of like handling the whole business. And I think it's mostly because all the stardom and glitter is in, generating creative deal structuring using your available resources. I mean, there's 2 pages of that, right?
Sure.
Closing acquisition deals with proper paperwork. I mean, there's a whole page of that. And then preparing the property for the buyer, there's like 4 podcasts. But then buyer hunting and pre-qualifying, I don't think we have any podcasts for that. Or closing buyer deals with paperwork and collecting the big check, there's no podcast for that. And then rinse and repeat enough to develop a system so it doesn't stop. There's no podcast for that.
Wow.
So it's like, we're really good at creating your real estate existence through management. There's a whole page of those. Deal hunting, marketing, and pre-screening. There's, a whole page of those. And then, of course, generating creative real estate, creative deal structuring using your available resources. There's 2 pages of those, right?
Yeah.
And then closing acquisition deals and proper paperwork using verbal agreements. There's a page of those. So I decided that we got to fix that. So I'm going to start doing, I don't know, the next couple podcasts is going to be about this other stuff. And if I don't get a lot of downloads because it's not popular, you know what I say to that, Peter?
Nothing at all, Bill, because you couldn't care less.
It's not happy birthday or Merry Christmas either, okay?
No, but I think it's important because I would be nervous buying a house if I didn't know how to sell the damn thing. I feel I'd be stuck with it. Because sometimes I'll ask somebody in the family, hey, you want to put some money in real estate? Blah, 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 blah. And they're not the right person to ask. And you find out, they go, oh, geez, well, what if you don't sell it? Then what? Yeah. Oh, yeah, houses don't sell. Nobody buys houses. Go look outside. I almost swore. Go look outside. Yeah. There's houses and people.
Like I said, anyways, you got 2 words, and it's not happy birthday or Merry Christmas.
Boing.
All right, so episode or podcast number 220, how to prepare. How to prepare is the key word here, and sell property quickly and easily.
Yeah.
It's a well-known fact that real estate investors make all their money when negotiating and collect profits when selling. But today's questions are, can you prepare the property so it sells quicker? Or can you help, or it can help you get more money? Or can it help you get more money?
Mm-hmm.
In this podcast, we will go through these questions, so by the time you finish listening, you can figure each deal out on your own, right? So, like, screw you, I'm like tired of holding your hand in shit, like I got other things to do here. I can't be like, putting your diapers on until you're like 35 years old. Now, come on.
Yeah, Bill's got cigars to smoke.
I got shit to do over here, man. I don't keep putting your diapers on. I got people that have been following me for 5 years, and all they do is send me support tickets and kudos, and they never even made an offer. Like, get off your ass, go do something.
Man, oh man.
And hopefully sell quicker. Okay, so let me back up here. In this podcast, we will go through these questions, so by the time you finish listening, you can figure out each deal on your own. I won't go through that rant again. We just heard that. And hopefully sell quicker and make more money. No, I'm not saying do a deal. I'm talking about doing what we're talking about here to make more money. I mean, if we're going to work hard and we're going to go find these deals and we're going to do all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we optimize or maximize our profits? I do it.
Oh, hell yeah.
You watch me do it. I do all kinds of things. Like, anyways, we won't get off to a story. We're already off on a bad start with the time. You would be surprised how much sight, when you look and see, how much sight and appearance controls hearing and motivation in a buyer. In other words, what they see controls what they think they hear.
Really?
Yeah. Plus, we will cover little inexpensive things you can do in any house to attract buyers and create a crave like my grandson in a candy store. Just like we seek motivated sellers, we need to seek motivated buyers.
Yep.
Then put those emotions on steroids so we can close fast. And it's way more than just staging. This unique podcast will reveal it all so you can do it once you are done listening. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's go.
Sounds good.
So first, before I start, because I've been drilled and grilled on this, realize that we now are live streaming. It's a Thursday morning, Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 a.m., thereabouts. I mean, we started a little early today. Sometimes we start a little bit late. Why does that happen? Because Pete and I are a bunch of old dumbasses, and we aren't like a millennial that we can do all this tech shit. And sometimes we get stuck setting this puppy up because Emma's not around anymore. Okay? So, but we are live streaming on Facebook, we are live streaming on YouTube, and we are live streaming on Twitter. Yay! All that work.
Yeah.
Finally, we figured it all out. So go to any one of those platforms, just type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you can watch us on Thursday mornings, 9:30 thereabouts a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You actually get to look at a couple old, ugly guys like us while we're making our facial expressions when we're talking, okay? Because it's a video. Or you could just wait till whatever podcast platform you want, and the podcast gets set up for Monday mornings. Also, what we've been doing for some while, and I actually went and had my VA go back to the beginning of podcast history with Bill and Pete, is if you go in your description, if you're listening on the phone, if you go in your description of where this podcast is, there's a link there that will get you to our free stuff page. And there's 25 plus documents, recordings, audios, scripts, all kinds of stuff there for you for free. So just scroll into wherever you're listening to this podcast. I don't care where it is, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, on your phone, wherever. Just scroll down and there's a link there. Also, if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, I actually just changed, Peter, the courses page. Mm-hmm. There's some cool shit on there. I got some new stuff. I rearranged it a little bit. We have a new coaching program now that teaches people how to do deal hunting, which is very inexpensive. Go there and check that out. But more importantly, on the front page, when you go to Flipping Houses for Rookie, there's a girl there, a pretty girl holding some money. To the left of that, if you put your name and email address in there, you can get my free course, which is Creative Real Estate 101. We just changed the name of it because the other name was a little kooky. I came up with some crazy-ass name, and people didn't know what it was. But basically, it's the 7 deal structures I do, and it's got all free training. We used to charge for that course. We no longer charge for it. It's free for anybody that's listening to podcasts or anybody that wants to go to the meetup or anything like that. So you want to learn how to actually do the 7 deal structures that I use all the time. Okay, so this whole podcast, 220 episodes and counting, is all revolved around that 7 offer strategy, and we've managed to verbosely explain it for 220 episodes. All right.
Well, we'll keep going until people get it. How's that?
Yeah. So make sure that wherever you're listening to us, you subscribe and you do leave us a review. I can't tell you, Peter, lately, it's been, I want a big shout out to all my, I guess we got to call them fans, all our fans, my fans, whatever. My testimonial page has grown in the last couple weeks, has grown exponentially. So if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, top right-hand side, it says testimonials, or some of the other pages says proof it works. It depends on which page you're on. There's a place where you can leave a video, you can leave an audio, you can type, whatever. And I can't believe what people say about us. It's amazing what we're doing. The feedback is phenomenal. So if you want to get your exchange in with all the free information we give you, just go either leave us a review or leave us a testimonial so we can see it. Okay? Whew. Got through all the legal shit, Peter.
Thanks, folks. See you next week.
I won't get in trouble now by all the people that try to guide me in the background.
Yep.
Try to. You notice that? Try to.
You ever try to move Bill?
Yeah. It's like trying to herd cats. All right, here we go. I have found, Peter, and I really mean this. This is at 56 years old. This is like learning how to write my name in first grade. Like
nope.
this revolutionary. Yeah, I used the wrong word there. This is totally mind-blowing to me. I have found everything is a matter of perspective. And most conflict or decision-making is caused by good or poor communication. Not the least of which is different meanings people have attached to words. So I have found everything is a matter of perspective, and most conflict or decision making is caused by good or bad communication, not the least of which is different, meaning people have attached to words.
You mean the story I heard last night about the lady who was driving her RV down the road? She had it on cruise, and she went to the back to go to the bathroom. And when she crashed, they asked her, what happened? She says, the cruise thing didn't work. It didn't keep driving. She thought it meant autopilot.
Yeah.
That's a true story. Yeah. I heard that. My friend of mine told me that last night. That's a bad misunderstanding. She crashed.
True.
That's just an example how stupid it can be. Our words can't be that important. Drove off the freaking road. Almost died.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's my 2 cents.
There you go. So I'm going to divert for a second. So I get messages, comments and stuff from the different platforms. So Desiree, no worries. She wants to know where she can purchase last month's meetup, which was spectacular. Desiree, I'd like to publicly welcome Desiree. She has come into Bill's Planet pretty heavy, and she's become a coaching client. So Desiree, when I get a chance later and send you all your stuff, I will send you the link for those meetups, and you don't have to pay for them. Okay? So thank you for being here every week. Thank you for supporting, and thank you. Because she's definitely she should run my fan club right now. So there you go.
Well, you need a president.
Yeah, there you go. You're supposed to be doing that, Peter. It's part of your hat write-up. What happened?
No, I'm part of the fan base. No, I don't know. I'm on the stage with you.
All right, so I got to get going here. We've goofed off too long. We've been on here for 16 minutes and we haven't said shit yet.
Yeah,
so.
Well, now it's 9:30.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Now we can start. Yeah,
now we can really start. But hey, Desiree, welcome to the coaching.
Yeah, thank you, Desiree. I have found everything is a matter of perspective, and most conflict or decision making is caused by good or poor communication, not the least of which is different meanings people have attached to words. But recently I watched a documentary on how much Hollywood has changed this. It talked about animated films and how the noises and sounds were nothing like what you saw on the screen.
Yeah.
Desiree said, thank you, Pete. John says, yeah, we're drinking the Kool-Aid. Good old John. For example, there was a movie that had, like an animated cartoon or movie where it was raining hamburgers. They were running, the characters were running down this long dock, and it was raining hamburgers. And when they hit the ground, the hamburgers, they needed to splat to have the right effect, right? So the sound guys and gals used wet rags on wooden floors. Not just a floor, they built like this little platform so that it would echo underneath it.
Yeah,
right?
it would vibrate to make more sound.
Right, so get what I'm telling you, because the cartoon character or the animated character was running on a dock out into the ocean. So they built this thing because they needed to have it sound like the dock.
Oh, geez, of course.
Right? And then they were taking these wet rags and they were splatting them on the dock. So what they had was this big ass TV screen, and they were sitting in front of the TV screen, so they knew when to throw the rags, as the hamburgers were hitting, on the screen. So they could see the screen, and they were developing the sound behind it, right? Then they did some really crazy shit, Peter, in this documentary. They had some case studies on an actress moving her mouth. I wish I recorded this, because I would watch it like 10 times again. I can't find it again. And I hate when that happens, because I'll go up for lunch and spend 20 minutes watching TV, and I can't stand watching the news anymore because the politicians killed my reach for anything they're doing, because they are just out of control. Then they did some case studies with an actress where her mouth was saying one thing, and they put a recording on that was saying something else. Right?
Yeah.
And it was just like one or two words, right? Like I do, or I go, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is when you watch it, you think she's saying what her mouth motions are.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was I go instead of ugga, or something like that, right?
Yeah,
I don't remember the word, but so when you watch her mouth, you think she's saying what you want her to say because you're watching her.
Yeah.
But when they played it back, she was actually saying something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your eyes, because you believe your eyes more than anything else, you believe what you see or what you think you see. So the point of the documentary is that you alter your thinking, or you alter what you think you're perceiving with your sight. Then they went into people that are blind and all that kind of stuff. There was one guy that, he was born blind, and he used to do a ticking, like a ticking noise. And the echo of the ticking would tell him where objects were in a room, right?
Yeah,
so
he's using that like bat radar. You can tell when you're getting close to something. It sounds
exactly
different. Yeah,
that's what they said, bat radar. Yeah. So
wow.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is that it's an eye opener for me, because the one thing that I never understood, and I completely understand it now, you watch these drug commercials, which I don't stand for, because personally, I don't know why you would want to take a drug for a lifetime. I mean, my idea of a drug is if I have the flu, I should take some penicillin, and 10 days later I stop taking it because it did its job.
Yeah.
Why would I want to take a drug every single morning for 20 years and not be any different? Or to subdue my temper, to subdue my anger, or my mood, or something like that. It's like, I don't believe in that at all. But the point is that if you watch the drug commercials, they're saying all the bad shit, but the film is the guy with the grandson at the park, or they're fishing, or whatever. And I never really understood why. And now that I've been opened, my mind has been open to this concept that you could, whatever you see controls what you hear or what you do, your decision process, because your sight seems to be the strongest believer, or the strongest. So I started thinking about this, and I'm being a little profound here. I'm going to get back to the real estate thing, and this is all going to tie in, I promise. So I started thinking about this, and I had this huge realization. So one thing that I do know, and I talk to a lot of people. I mean, I talk to 7,000 or 8,000 people a week, a lot of times. And that's emails and podcasts, and that I'm constantly doing something with somebody, right? And I work long hours, so because I choose to, because I love what I do. One thing that I have figured out is all human beings, and this is not something I figured out. It's something I've learned from other places. I mean, we talked about it before, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Malt. You read Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. There's Earl Nightingale, Tony Robbins, all these guys, Kiyosaki. They all dabble in this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that we do know is human beings think with pictures. There's mental image pictures, right? So these mental image pictures are what we look at consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah.
So
subconsciously is funny because people don't even realize they're doing it. You ever see somebody staring? What are you thinking about? Oh, nothing. Yes, you are. Stop a minute. All these pictures flying by and they're staring into the distance. You're seeing things, but not even thinking about it. Pay attention to what you're looking at.
Right.
Yeah.
So all my point is, and we're way off right now, but I'm going to bring it back in about 2 seconds. My point is if mental image pictures are what we store based on our experience, like if it was a time track from when we were in mommy's womb all the way till now, every second, or every there's 14 pictures a second or whatever it is, are stored in your memory, which, by the way, I don't believe is your brain as a memory. Your mind is a different section, but forget about that. And if you read Dianetics, from L. Ron Hubbard, you'll get a better understanding of this. Not that he's the end all or be all, but he did a really good job of laying this out. Psycho-Cybernetics is another really good book. They did a really good job of laying it all out. I mean, those two books, two different eras. Psycho-Cybernetics was written in the 40s, and Dianetics was early 40s, late 50s. Yeah. Right. So, my point is that it only makes sense that if we are storing mental image pictures, that sight has a lot to do with it.
Sure.
That's my long story here, right? So why am I telling you this today? Because as a marketeer, okay, that I am, right? Because I don't believe I'm in the real estate business. I believe I'm in the marketing business. Mm-hmm. I don't believe I'm in the, good morning, Reggie. I don't believe that I'm in the
money?
Flipping houses business. I don't feel like I'm in the teaching business. I feel like I'm in the marketing business, because the more people I could introduce to my ideas, the better off I am. So I'm a total marketeer, right? And what I have learned is that demonstration is more important than what you say or write. Mm. Yeah, and I didn't know this until I watched this documentary a few weeks ago. Why it all like connected, like a lifetime worth of education, like came together for me.
So say that again. Demonstration is more important. That last line.
Than what you say or what you write.
Yeah.
Reggie says, "Hey, Peter."
Hey, Reggie.
So, well, it's Reg. I don't know if it's Reggie. But...
Reg. Sorry.
So, when you're selling a house with no bank qualifying, even though these claims are very true, so many will believe it to be a scandal. Mm. And this is a new problem. This is not something I dealt with 10 years ago. This is new. This is like in the last 5 years.
It's worse now.
Oh, it's brutal.
Wow.
It's brutal.
Wow. What happened?
Our buyers are trained in today's society to ignore outlandish claims or not believe it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, this was not something that I noticed in my marketing. It was something that I was like missing. It's kind of like, how could I say this? It's kind of like being in a secret society and not being in a secret society. It's like everybody knows something that you don't know.
Wow.
Right? And that's what this was like for me. And what happened to me is Emma. Oh. I mean, she's a complete millennial, and she would sit across from my desk and she would tell me, like, that's a scam, Dad. Like, yeah. I'll give you a classic example. Right now, I am in a group in Israel that I'm making courses and speaking to these people of 1,500 people in Israel, teaching how to buy and sell real estate the way I teach here in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so this guy, Tomar, something like that, was sending me messages saying he had people that had money, he had people, and so she's reading these messages and she's like, and I did a webinar with him, and she's like, Dad, he's a total scam. I don't get a good feeling from him. Right? Had I listened to her, I wouldn't be where I am now, because at this particular point right now, they're recruiting me or trying to recruit me to be there because they teach how to buy and sell the renovations, rehab, retail.
Yeah.
Right? And these guys got money. They got a bunch of dough over there, right?
Yep.
And they teach how to flip houses in the United States virtually.
That's crazy. From Israel, they're flipping here.
Yeah. And they got a 9-month program, and it's quite a bit of dough and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing: once they teach the flipping aspect, they have realized that there's more to that. Mm-hmm. So they're asking me to be their advanced teacher with all the creative stuff. They're like sucking up all this creative stuff. They like know some of it exists, but they don't know how it works.
Yep.
So they're asking me to do that. My point is, had I listened to Emma, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying Emma's bad or anything like that, but it's her age, and it's that whole millennial group, because they're bombarded. I mean, I was thinking this morning, all I wanted to do was see the weather. And they say weather every 10 minutes. They're right. Every 10 minutes that they're broadcasting the news. But there's 35 minutes of commercials before you watch the news. I mean, it's ridiculous how many commercials. It literally is 10 minutes of commercials. I timed it this morning, 8 or 10 minutes of commercials, and like 4 minutes of the news, and then they go back to commercials. So why wouldn't our kids think that?
Yep.
Why wouldn't our younger generation, who, by the way, has been in front of a television their entire life, right? They've been bombarded. Now they're on the internet and they're bombarded with these messages, right? So the age of distrust has seriously affected the way we sell houses these days. Right?
It must be worse the younger the person is, huh?
Yeah. And in short, most often the cards are already stacked against you when you're trying to show this house or sell the house. Right? So we need to empower the buyer. And listen to what I'm telling you here, Peter, because this is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've spent in 30 years. I mean, I'm guessing, but it's definitely more than $100,000. It's probably more than $200,000 that I have spent on marketing. I mean, you see my house.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I keep diverting today. I'm taking a vote, okay? So now that we're not doing the podcast anymore live, I think we're going to keep doing this. Outside of my office, I had that conference room that we turned into a podcast room.
Yeah.
I told my wife the other day that I'm going to turn that into my library.
Oh.
I'm going to take the podcast down and turn it into my library. And I'm talking about that because she's like, oh my God, because she's thinking we can get all the books because they're upstairs. They're in my bedroom. They're in the living room. They're like in the den. I mean, I've got books down, in the laundry room. I've got them in my office. I mean, you've seen them.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's tons.
I
It's
just
tons of
love
books.
right?
You buy books every week.
Yeah, still. I don't read them as much as I used to, but I try to read a book a week if I could. And anyways, you have to realize that I write somewhere in the vicinity of about 20,000 words a week. Right? So that's emails, that's the podcast, that's articles, that's, and I do that in my part-time. Because I still run renovations and I still buy houses and I still talk to sellers and I still do coaching. So I don't know how I do it all, but I do it. My point is that one thing, and I'm trying to get my point across here, that listen to what I'm telling you, because this is with all that training, and it could be more, but with all that training, I'm going to give you this piece of advice when you sell a house. Okay, all this background is behind this statement. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to empower your buyer to discover this amazing way that you're going to lease to them. So if you set it up so that it looks like they found it by accident and they discovered it.
Oh, yeah. It's less scammy because you're not shoving it down their throat.
Right. So it's not like, because the old way, I mean, Dan Kennedy talks about the 3 M's, the triangle, the 3 M's, market, message, media.
Right.
And if you get those 3 right, you got a home run. Right?
Sure.
So we know the market, we know the message. What I'm saying is as the media, instead of like going and putting an article in a newspaper, in the classified section where somebody would go look, they didn't feel like they discovered something there.
Yes, because you paid for that. Somebody paid to put that there,
Right.
So they're paying for that so that I read it and I believe whatever they're saying.
But if you put signs up around the neighborhood on Sunday afternoon, they're going to get their groceries and they see the sign, they're like, oh shit, look, I discovered that.
Oh, that's interesting. Because wondering where you're going with it, how are they going to discover it? But they see it themselves.
Right.
And it's actually real. It's not something on a piece of paper.
They feel like they stumbled onto it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not just something somebody paid for, like a piece of paper that they're reading ink. They're seeing an actual sign with maybe an arrow or an address or something that they can see an actual house a couple of blocks away. A real thing, not just something in a piece of paper.
We do the same thing on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like a discovery process for the buyer. So when you set up that scenario, so when you orchestrate that discovery process, it kind of takes the stack of they don't believe you down a little bit. It knocks it down a few pegs, right? So then you need, so once you get their interest, now you got to demonstrate, right?
Right.
So here's how I use the little system, which you're aware of. I have one video that I made a bunch of years ago, and we should do this on the next house that I do. I should, like do this, but I don't know why I never do. But so here's how I use my little system to do all this, to kind of like shed this skepticism and this like, oh, this is too good to be true stuff, right?
Right.
So I set the house up for success. Okay, because what you see is what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you stumble on it and you see it, you start to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I found this by accident. This guy didn't send me a mailer, or, he's not, whatever. It's like I found this by accident, and then you go check it, and they're doing their discovery stage, and they're like, wow, this could be true. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I do. Okay? So first thing I want to do, and I'm going to go through a whole list here. Okay? So if anybody's listening to this podcast and they want to capture some of the things we do, like the staging point, although it's not staging, it's more than staging, but I'm going to give you a list and a half for the next, I don't know, probably half an hour. Okay, so, and then we're going to go into because that's not what does it. It's what we talk about after the staging type stuff or setting up the house that really counts. Okay, because I got some really cool shit towards the end of this podcast that you are going to be like, what? Mm-hmm. And we do this, or I do this, and I haven't been recently, and it made me realize I got to get back to doing this. We've been.
You mean you're set up in the lease options, the way you set it up?
You'll have to wait, Peter. You're not. Yeah. I'm not telling you. You're not going to do that to me.
I have to stay through the whole podcast?
Yes. Peter, be patient, Peter. I thought old guys are supposed to be patient.
No, Bill, we're running out of time.
Oh man. So, first thing I want you to understand is, and this is very first on the list. In fact, it's all by itself. All right. I want to make sure that the house smells good.
Yeah.
Right? So I get those little, I hate to use a brand name, but the Glade plugins. Mm-hmm. And you can get them at Home Depot. You can get them at Walmart. Right? They plug into the wall. And they have different smells.
Mm-hmm.
You with me?
Yeah. It's like cookies. No, I've used them too. Cookies, lavender, apple pie.
So I want the cookies and the apple pie. I don't want the lavender. I want the smells like there's something in the oven.
Yep.
Okay? And I put them around the house. So I'll put them not in every room, but I'll, depending on how big the house is, I'll put a couple. I'll definitely put one in the kitchen. Right? Mm-hmm. I won't put one in the bathroom, but I'll put one in the hallway by the bathroom. Because if you put it in the bathroom, it'd be too strong. Right?
No, yeah, they're strong. Take it easy on these.
But first thing I want to do is I want to have that homey feel when you get there. I want you to smell it. Mm-hmm. Okay? So this is going back to what I was talking about before, right? Your eyes are going to make your decision on all these other things. So if you subliminally plant these things in the house, you're going to control the decision process via sight. Because if you set it up the right way, the sight is going to trigger things that you've already planted there. Kind of like, I hope I'm doing a good job with this, but kind of like I say, they need to find you accidentally, but you orchestrated them finding you accidentally because you knew where they were. You're like, when I put signs out, they didn't find me accidentally. I know the drive pattern of most people around my house. I study that to see what's the drive pattern. So I put the signs strategically in a place where I know they're going to see it, but they felt like they saw it by accident. They stumbled onto it. So when you're in the house, you're doing the same thing, right? So what you're doing is you're placing things and doing things so that they can trigger their imagination in a positive way. So it's like they're discovering things as they go through the house, right? So they're having ideas of how they could mock the house up or set the house up or design a room, because most people don't have much of an imagination. So you got to provoke it a little bit, right? So you do it. You plant things in the house to create those creative juices.
So when you put the scent thing, now that's not sight, that's smell. But does that trigger them seeing things in their mind, like subliminally, like grandma cooking cookies or mommy cooking cookies or their wife? Is that what it does?
Right.
Is
Well,
that what you're thinking?
it makes them come in and feel like it's a home now. It's not a house. Because a lot of this stuff, Peter, you do most of it. You do a much better job at some of the stuff than I do. Back in the day, I did a much better job. I had people working for me, and I was very chauvinistic. I still am to some degree. I'd make the girls go in. I used to tell them, girls go in and girly it up. You know what I mean? And that's how I learned, because I paid professional girls to go in and girly it up. So, the stuff I'm talking about, some of it I do nowadays, some of it I don't. But I had tremendous success, and I was a jerk about it, because I would hold the girls that designed my houses or staged my houses at the time. I would hold them accountable to my results, like how fast I would sell. Mentally, because I would keep statistics. So it's like we go into one house and we would test blue bed spreads, and then another house we would try a different color.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a pain in the ass. Okay, I don't do that stuff now, but I was a pain in the ass. Okay, so staging is a minimal. When you stage, it's minimal. Okay, most overdo this. They put too much stuff in the house. Right. The purpose of staging is to provoke imagination. So you only need to do simple things. Like, and I'm going to give you a whole list, like a chair in a room, right, with an end table next to it, a doily on it, a lamp, and a picture. So you could have a 25 by 25 foot room, and in one section, like between two windows or in front of a picture, in front of a sliding glass door where the sun comes beaming in, you could have this chair with an end table and a light and a doily and a picture on it. And it completely takes an empty room and triggers the imagination on, oh, I could put the couch over here. I could, they can envision that.
Sure.
Same thing, like we have had some houses where the master bedroom is pretty big. So you could put this same type of a mock-up in the corner of a bedroom where it envisions you like getting up in the morning with your pajamas on, having a cup of coffee, sitting at the chair, reading a book.
Yep.
Now, the likelihood that most of our sellers are going to do that is close to nil, but they like to think that they want to do that. Right? So, does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, good. So, how about decorating the kitchen? Right? How do you do that?
Right.
So, I know what I want to say, but you do a lot of this, so why don't you talk about it?
Well, as you were talking and like making it feel homey, when I stage, the only rooms that actually have anything in them inherently is the bathroom and the kitchen. Every other room is empty, so you have to put something in those. But the bathroom, kitchen already have counters and things. You just put things on them. So I go through my house and my mom's house, and I stuff things in bags and boxes, and I drag them over. But one thing I have is a coffee pot that no one uses. It's a nice little Mr. Coffee. I stick that in the corner with a couple of cups, and it makes me realize what you're saying right now is that they walk in, they see the coffee cup, they think, oh, this is nice to make a cup of coffee and sit over there and drink that.
Right.
But so I'll do that, a couple of bowls, decorative things.
Right.
I
So
put a couple of rugs on the floor.
To Peter's point, yeah, we're going to go over all that. But to Peter's point, right, the evaluation process when walking through the house is they go into a bedroom and there's nothing there. They go into another bedroom and it looks like the first bedroom. Then they go in the third bedroom and it looks like the first two. So there's nothing there unless there's holes in the wall. But when you renovate a house, the hardwood floors look all the same. The trim looks all the same. The doors look all the same. Everything looks the same. So it comes down to the kitchen and the bathrooms are going to be different. So inherently or instinctively, they evaluate the house based on the kitchens and the bathrooms because that's the only thing they can evaluate on. Like,
Well, they're not going to
for
change.
example,
Yeah, go ahead.
for example, when we're negotiating to buy a house, the seller only knows how to negotiate the money. They don't know all the other negotiating tools they have. Like the term and the monthly payments and, like all that kind of stuff. I'll throw in a lawnmower. They don't think of all those other things to negotiate with.
Right.
So this is on the reverse side. When they're negotiating or they're evaluating, they only have just the kitchen and the bathrooms because, like it's got a 3-car garage. Or the other thing is, which I realized when I wrote this, Peter, and we never talk about this. The other thing that's a variant is the landscaping. Mm-hmm. So you have the landscaping, you have the kitchen, and you have the bathrooms,
Right.
Or kitchens in the bathroom, whatever type of house.
Bathrooms.
All the rest of it is just like whitewash. Once you've seen 1 or 2 rooms, you've seen them all, right? Now the other thing that you could evaluate with is like because we do a lot of ranches, you could have a family room downstairs, right? So that's another thing. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to stop that step where they skip through that. Oh, I've seen this room. I've seen that room. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to actually mock up in their head, right? Oh, this could be Susie's room, the daughter. This could be Jonathan's room, the son. Because there's certain things in the room that would provoke them to imagine that, right? Because they're looking at it, and the smell is just cementing all this stuff together. Okay, I want to get that. So another thing is soap and a towel in the bathroom. Please, 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 I beg of you, make sure there's toilet paper in every single bathroom. In fact, put an extra roll there. Because I'm going to tell you right now, being 100% chauvinistic, and you can harpoon me with as many support tickets as you want. If a woman walks in a house and she's got to pee, and she can't sit down on a clean toilet with toilet paper, she's out of there. And you just lost the deal.
She's not going to like that.
I'll tell you that right now. And how did I figure this out? I'll tell you how I figured this out.
Really? There's a story to this one? Oh, boy. What happened?
There's a story to this one.
What happened?
So if you know my wife goes to the bathroom 900 times a day. You know that, Peter. You know my wife, right? Mm-hmm. She's better now, but she was worse before, right? Mm-hmm. And we went out to dinner one time, and I said to her, "Oh, I got this new house. It's right around the corner. You want me to show it to you?" And I took her in there. Now it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I flip all the lights on, and I got my feathers out. I'm peacocking like mad. I don't need to impress anybody, but I like to impress my wife. I mean, it's just how it is. And sometimes her attention span is that of a fly. Sometimes, I mean, she doesn't stick with me very long. Okay, and so because it's just on certain things she will. But, when it comes to this stuff, she whatever.
But she'll ask you how much you're making.
Yeah, she definitely likes to know
how much we making on. But hey, Bill, how much are we making on this one? We making, right?
You know what the stupid thing is? You know what the stupid thing is? She does that, Peter, but then never asks me where the money is.
Wow.
She doesn't know where the money is. She'll say, "How much did you make? What was your net?" And she goes through this little drill. How much did you make? No. How much did you put in your pocket? How much can we spend?
Hip National Bank, baby.
Yeah, and I'll tell her. And I used to not tell her because if she knew there was a bunch of money in the checkbook, she'd go buy new furniture, right? So, or whatever. Because my wife is really good with. She's really, really expensive or really cheap. There's no gray area in between, right? So my point is that I realize that I tell her now because she doesn't know what account and where the money is. She doesn't even, I mean, her name is on the accounts, but she doesn't know where they are. She's got. Many years ago, I gave her own account and I put money in there and I just let her go spend money because then I can control it.
Jeez, right? Bill, I got to give my wife 10%.
You created that. That's
she helps in the business. She's working a bit, so she gets her cut.
Anyways, we're in this house and it's we just had dinner and she had probably a glass or two of wine and she's like and there was no toilet paper in the bathroom. I hadn't staged it yet. And she did not let me get through. She went through the kitchen and, or I think I was staging it. I don't remember what happened, but this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And she's like, "We're out of here." And it took me a day or two, and I finally, I don't even know how I figured it out, but it clicked. It's like she had to go to the bathroom. And we
Yep.
left.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Have the house professionally cleaned. You know, you would think that this is like something we shouldn't have to mention. Okay. But here's what I mean. So I pay for empty houses most of the time between $400 and $500 to clean a house.
At the
Sometimes
end.
more.
At the end, when they're done.
Before we're talking about getting the house ready for the buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. So no furniture, none of that. $400 or $500. Well, how come? Well, here's why. I want all the windows cleaned. Okay. And oh yeah, by the way, if the windows aren't vinyl and they can clean them easily, I seriously consider putting new windows in. When I'm going through the renovation process,
If they're not vinyl?
if they need a ladder to go outside and clean the outside windows,
Yeah, because they can't open them and clean them from the inside. Okay, I got you.
it's part of my consideration of whether I should do windows. I do that first, and then the next thing I do is I go on the front steps and I look to the left and I look to the right and I look in the neighborhood and see what kind of windows they have. And if the majority of them have new vinyl windows, then it's a no-brainer. If it's 50-50, then I stumble on, like the house I'm doing right now, I'm like, you know, it's a big fat should I, shouldn't I? You know, we call that a Q&A, question and answer. Should I, shouldn't I? It's a big fat, like, whatever.
Maybe.
Right? 'Cause,
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. And the stupid thing is they're not expensive. I mean, that's a stupid thing. I mean, a couple $100, $250 a window, you know what I mean? So 10 windows is $2,500. In the big scheme of things, I mean, my kitchens are $8 or $10 grand. Why am I, bitching about $2,000, right? So
Yeah, because there's a lot of windows, and the thing is, you look through them, and no one likes to see the dirt and the gunk and the cloudiness or the bad window pane.
Right.
No, they want to see. They don't want to see the window. They want to see outside.
wait till we go move on. So watch this. Well, mostly it's the light coming in, right? So we want light coming in. All right, so when they're cleaning, I'm going to have them clean windows. Inside the cabinets, I want inside the cabinets, kitchen cabinets, I want them wiped with a damp rag or something so you can put a dish in there and not feel like it's scummy.
But
Like
Bill,
sawdust or whatever, you know what I mean?
gee, Bill, don't the contractors do that for you when they leave?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we already know the answer.
Yeah, Bill and I have a drill. When the house is done, ready to go, then we go in and finish it, right?
Yeah,
we spend half a day finishing
we
it.
spend a day in there finishing it. So the basement's another one. So I make sure they often, especially with concrete floor basements, I'll ask them to vacuum it and mop it if they could. Okay? Now, it could be a coarse basement, but they can use a raggedy mop and just wet mop it. Just so if you walk down there in your stocking feet, it's like you're not going to get dirty socks. Okay?
Yeah.
Here's another one, Peter. The furnace. I like for them to take their cleaning solvents and just wipe down the furnace. I'm not talking about like getting all the just because most furnaces, especially boilers, right? They have a steel casing around them. So just clean the casing so that it shines a little bit and it doesn't look like it's 150 years old and nobody's touched it in 35 years.
With cobwebs.
Yeah. So just take their cleaning stuff and just clean it. Just make it look like it's new. They don't have to spend all day down there, but they could do that. Here's another one. The oil tanks. Just usually what I have them do is take a mop and have them mop the oil tank.
The top is all dirty, full of dust. Because no one touches it. It sits there for years gathering dust. It just looks gross.
I can't tell you how many times I've done a renovation and I make the contractor paint the oil tank. That makes a huge difference. It's not that much money, but it makes a huge difference in the basement. And you don't even have to scrape it and get the rust. They can quickly wire brush it and just paint it, and it makes a huge difference.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Especially if the laundry's in the basement, you're going to do this.
Yeah.
If the washer and dryer in the basement and the woman's got to go down there and do laundry, you want to do that. Okay? Now, a lot of times we'll end up with washers and dryers in houses, because people leave them. We don't take them out. We just leave them. So I have the cleaning girls just clean the washer and dryer. Right? Now, here's something you could do. And you could take this stuff when you leave, but you can find like a little end table, right? And put it next to the washer and dryer so there's like a little folding table or a place for her to put the basket on.
That's right.
Right? and all you got to do is put a little doily on it, and it creates. So now they go down in the basement, right? And it's lit. First of all, the floor's clean, the furnace is clean. It doesn't feel dungy. There's not cobwebs all over the place. There's a washer and dryer that's sparkling with a little table next to it that she could put her laundry on. Whole different atmosphere than what most people do.
Well, it
right?
sounds
And
way.
why do you care about that? Why would we spend so much time on it? Because I don't know about you, but my wife and the only ones here, and we still do multiple laundries a week, multiple loads of laundry a week. Somebody's got to go do that. How much time is somebody going to spend in the basement? And being chauvinistic, usually the woman, not always, but like you don't want it to be dungy. You don't want it to like regret going down there because it stinks and it's got cobwebs and like, you know, I mean, why would you want to do that?
No, you want to make it inviting. I mean, a house is something you walk into. You want to feel invited into it. You want to like it. I mean, it's, to me, it's as simple as like, don't like. I walk into some of our renovations, I look at it and go, I just don't like something. And it may not be something that even you want to do sometimes, but it'll bother me, so I'll just go do something once in a while. Just
yeah, you go behind my back and charge on Home Depot and then send me a bill and then ask me if it was paid.
No.
You son of a bitch.
The stuff that I do,
What do you mean,
I do
no?
myself. No.
Yeah, I just got a bill the other day from the apartments. I didn't
you-
even know. Like you
you
spent
don't
$100 and something dollars and I don't even know about it.
Yeah,
I
you don't remember. You don't
Listen
remember.
to you. Yeah,
You don't
you
remember.
wish. You wish. When it comes to money, I remember. All right. Peter, I'm ashamed to say, I am ashamed to say this, and you could jump in my shit right now. It's your turn to give it back to me.
What up, Bill?
Ready?
Yeah.
Light bulbs.
Oh, hell yeah.
I can't believe for about 5 years I didn't do this, and I didn't even realize I wasn't doing it. And then a couple of years ago, I had this big realization like, oh my God, I couldn't sell this house, and all I did was put light bulbs in it and illuminate it.
I remember that
And
house.
I sold it like 3 days later, and I'm telling you, like, yeah, I put light bulbs in it, and you're like, really? You didn't think of that before?
No.
You know
Well,
what
I go in a house and have those cheap, shitty, crappy fluorescent bulbs. They're curly, and I don't even like the way they look, and they're gross. They're just gross. I get rid of all those and put nice lights in and just brighten the place up. I had a kitchen. I have a condo with a small kitchen, and I bought this massive 4-bulb light. It was like $59. It's a beautiful light, though. 4 bulbs. So you put maybe 40s or 60s, not hundreds. Jesus, you'll blind them. But you walk in, it's like, and it looks so much bigger just because of that. It's silly. It's
You
silly.
make it a tanning salon.
That's right. You lay down under it, come out, we got a little tan. See my tan? This is from the sun. This is from the lights.
So light bulbs is a big thing. Make sure that the rooms are illuminated, right?
Yeah.
And if it's a room that doesn't have lights, you know, like some of the houses built in the 70s and 80s, they put switched outlets on them.
Yeah, for lamps.
Put a little coffee table in there and a lamp on it, so when they flip the switch on, there's a light in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be much. By the way, Peter, where are we going to get all this shit from?
I get it from my house and my mom's house.
Right. Well, most people may not be able to do that, but you can go to places like Odd Lot and Walmart and you know these overstocked websites that we have. You know, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I'll tell you, a perfect place to do it is yard sales.
Sure.
You know, just hit a few yard sales up and you just start accumulating this stuff.
Yeah.
And then once you get enough, you just move it from house to house or you store it somewhere. Right.
Yeah, we'll hit Walmart and just get some really colorful towels, floor mats for the bathroom, and it just looks pretty, you know?
You go to Walmart and you can get, you know, like a floor mat set for $15. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyways, how about this one? Decks. Outside decks. Just put some flowers on there. You're good with this, you know, either on the railing or like in the corner. Just put some color there, especially in the fall. You know, like get some of the oranges and the yellows, you know. You go to Home Depot and get those, you know what I mean? And they're nice. You know, you put them on the front steps. You could put flowers on the front steps, right?
Yeah, this time of year, if it's fall, I put pumpkins.
Yeah.
I'll go in my garden. I'll get 2 pumpkins. I'll stick it on the stairs. Then if it's Christmas, what about Christmas? What do we do?
So I'm going to get to that in a few minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the other thing is if you have a big yard or you got a swimming pool, like suppose you got a big yard, like we just looked at a house that had 2 acres of land, right?
Yeah.
So you got a big yard. Why not put a couple lawn chairs out there with a table?
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple lawn chairs. Or if you got a big deck, put a couple lawn chairs on it with the flower in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, I'm not talking about, you know, $2 lawn chairs. You know, I'm talking about a couple decent lawn chairs that you could probably find in a yard sale somewhere.
Yeah, right? You're not talking about $1,000 patio set either.
No. You know, just a couple lawn chairs.
Two
just
resin
to provoke.
chairs.
Yeah.
Two pretty
right?
colored resin chairs. You know, the plastic,
Yep.
the pretty colors. They just, you know, a lot of the houses are like a lot duller now. They're white and grays,
Yep.
and you know everything's kind of dull. So I always use colors because it's just, to me, it's just boring.
Another thing is garages. Make sure I have my cleaning girls go out there and I have them clean the garage. I have them vacuum the floor. Sometimes I'll have them mop it if it's painted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just clean the garage. You know, make sure the workbenches are wiped down and they're clean. You know, so that when you go out there, it doesn't look like a dungeon, right? So we've been appealing the woman with the bathrooms and the smell and all that. Now we got to do something for the guy, right? Like we got to get him to buy into this. So, you know, if we could put a workbench in there, if there's a workbench there already, a lot of times what I've done in the past is there'll be a workbench in the basement. I'll have the guys bring it up and put it in the garage. Sometimes I'll have them paint it, just paint it gray. It takes somebody, you know, an hour to paint the workbench, and you just put it in the corner and it's nice and clean and nice, you know, it's light gray, and it's like the guy can think, oh, I could put this on there, or I could do that, or, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? So you want to do that.
You know, you're giving me an idea here. When people buy a house, they're rarely new. They're always used. And who likes used stuff? So when you just paint an oil tank, or you paint the workbench, or you clean really good the washer and dryer, it looks more like it's new, because nobody really wants to think of somebody else grubby hands all over their stuff. You know, you'll change the toilet, new toilet seats, brand new toilet, so it's new for them. You know, who wants to sit on somebody else's business?
With that, I have to go back and actually like admit that I just lied to you.
You did?
Yeah, I just lied to all of you.
Oh,
so
man.
The truth of the matter is even though I do buy like, you know, some like rugs and the towels and stuff like that from Walmart, believe it or not, the best place in the world to get staging from is the houses you buy.
Oh, yeah.
I'll buy the house if you leave the end table. I'll buy the house if you leave the couch. I'll buy that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you buy houses that have shit in it already. You know, like we bought a house in Clinton. The lady was a writer and she had like, you know, 200 books. You keep 20 of the books and put them on a bookshelf somewhere in a staged house.
Yeah.
You know, you don't care what the books are. Just, you know, clean them with a rag and put them on a bookshelf with a couple bookends. We found some bookends and you just stage with it. So when you're buying houses, you'll end up with stuff. You know, what was this, George Carlin?
Yeah, stuff.
With stuff.
Stuff.
You got to buy more houses and you got to have storage, and it's hysterical.
Keep your stuff.
Yeah, keep your stuff. Here's another one, Peter. Picture windows. Right? So some of them, like some of the ranches we had, they're like I don't know what to call them, but they're protruded.
Bay window, right? Bay
window. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got like a little shelf in there. Perfect place to put a doily and some pictures. You know, you put your Glade thing in that room. You know, the sun's shining in, the windows are clean, and oh yeah, by the way, when you're buying picture frames, right? I don't buy those used; I buy them new, right? A lot of picture frames come with pictures of families in them.
Well, yeah, it's true. They always, they like that.
So just buy those ones at Walmart or wherever you're going to go that have those picture frames with a family already in them, because you don't need to put pictures of your kids or anything like that in there. You could if you want, but just buy them with, you know, when you buy the picture frame, buy them with, you know, the mock pictures in them already. And just take them out of the wrapper and put them on there, and that's what it's just enough to make the imagination.
Yep.
So Johnny, he's asking if I would recommend a storage unit. If you're doing multiple houses a month, when we were doing 7 or 8 houses a month, which I haven't done in a few years, but I'm heading back to that. Yes, we wouldn't have a storage unit, but we would have a place to store all the stuff. Actually, to be honest with you, Johnny, I owned a car lot, a used car lot, and I had took in on trade like a caravan. There was an older caravan that had some miles on it, but it ran good. We used to put I used to keep everything in the caravan, so we would just drive the caravan to the job, and we would take whatever we needed out of that. Okay, so, but that's because I owned a dealership and I had a dealer license. I didn't have to insure or register it, but that's what we did. But if you're not in that position, yes, you could probably, for not very much money, rent a storage unit and keep everything in a storage unit, right? Or if you're a guy, you can, maybe find a box trailer or an old U-Haul trailer or something and keep it in there and just, that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't elaborate on that too much, but, once you start doing a lot of houses, you could do that, right? So the picture windows, if it's not a bay window, as you call it, and thank you for that word because I wasn't thinking with that, but if it's not a bay window and it's just like a flush picture window, what I strongly suggest is, those curtains you put on the top?
Yeah.
John says he's got I need a bread truck. This guy, he's funny as shit. That would work, Johnny, a bread truck. Those curtains that are just like 6 inches?
Yeah.
They're not really...
A valance?
Yeah, valance or a doily. Yeah, a valance, yeah. So just get a curtain rod and put a valance on there. Not a very expensive one, a cloth one. And just put a valance over the picture window in a living room, and with the windows clean and it's light. And then what I like to do is put a picture on each side of the window. So the left of the window and to the right of the window with the valance on top of it. It captures the hominess of the living room.
Yeah.
Right. So it just works. Okay. So I have to fess up to this one because I argue with Peter on this often, and he wins because he goes behind my back and does it without me looking.
And those I spend my own money on. Those I do.
Yeah, okay.
Those I
Fireplaces and mantles. He does good. The last house we had a fireplace and a mantle, and he put pictures on it and some Chotsky type stuff on there. Yeah. Again, you don't fill the mantle, you just strategic place, like to the left, you put a picture there with a candle. That's all you need, and maybe a doily on the right side. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be a lot, but it's just enough to make it look like it's not empty. Okay. Kitchen counters, you already talked about that. A couple of appliances like the instant coffee maker with the cups, with a few cups by it, or a bowl. With like a whisk in it, like a bowl with a whisk, and, you can get a plastic whisk in like IKEA or something like that, and you just put a plastic whisk in there so it looks like you're ready to bake a cake or something like that.
Yep.
You could put that on there. It doesn't need to be much, okay?
Yeah, a couple of pans.
So, again, you would think that I wouldn't know how to do this, or I wouldn't. Yeah, you put some pots or pans on top of the stove. You could put one on there, and that would be fine.
A tea kettle, put a tea kettle for tea, something like that. Tea kettle,
yeah.
Something pretty.
So you wouldn't think I would have to say this, but believe it or not, the appliances, you got to clean the refrigerator, which when you professionally have it cleaned, they do this. They scrub the refrigerators. You got to clean the stove. You got to get the oven shit and get the stinky oven stuff and have the stove clean, right? The microwave, the dishwasher, right? It's got to be super clean. Okay, spend the money and do that. Or go there for the afternoon with your rubber gloves on and do it yourself. I don't care, but it's got to be clean. Don't do that, you're killing deals. End of story. Okay? I shouldn't have to say this either, but you can take a little thing of baking soda and put it in the refrigerator so when you open the refrigerator it doesn't stink. Okay, you don't want to have an odor there, right?
Yep.
I like to renovate, and I go hot and cold on this, but when I like to renovate, I like to buy blinds, especially for the bedrooms. Blinds are not that expensive. You go to Home Depot for a couple $100s, you can put blinds in almost every house, all the windows in every house. Like, for example, I'm doing a house right now, it's got 10 windows. So what's it, $10 a blind? So it's $100 to put blinds on. It's one of those things that they don't have to do when they move in. And again, being chauvinistic, a woman's going to want that. Because she's going to want her husband to put the blinds up, or the boyfriend or whoever to put the other half to put the blinds up, and he's going to be like, because he's got to move and all this other shit that he's got to do, and she's going to. It's one of those things that will get left undone, and never seem to really get done when they move in.
Yeah.
So for not a lot of money, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or any one of those places by you and just get some blinds and put some blinds on there. Okay. Makes a big difference. A big difference. Okay. And don't go crazy with the big wide wood blinds and all that stuff. Just, the little plastic ones are $10-$12 a piece, and probably Walmart has them too. I don't know. All right. So just put blinds on there, right? It's a great effect. Okay.
Well, imagine a bathroom or a bedroom without blinds. You need the privacy.
Right.
Those are very private places. Kitchen, maybe not, but even the living room, like the front of the house, you want people looking in. Put the lights on at night. People can see you. You can't see them. It's a little weird.
Yep. All right. So moving on, garden beds. Weeded and put mulch in them. We were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
You like to, and I'll give you a second here so you can rant about it, but you used to like it was your own house. You would go buy all these flowers and decorate them, and
make it look real nice. So what happened is, it's not a lot, but you just try to make it pretty, have some flowers. So it's like, oh, let's buy this house. It's pretty. And then you drive by like a year later, and it's all weeds. Like they couldn't care less. Like you get the impression, I get the impression that they lived in an apartment and are just not used to it at all, and they just don't care. We just drove by one of yours, though, and they had done a super job of adding to it, mulch and flowers. So you know what? They're going to do what they're going to do.
1 out of 10 is like
right. They're going to do what they're going to do. Just nice mulch, maybe a pot on the front. You take the pot with you when you're going. I don't know.
Right.
But don't overdo it, because they don't appreciate it, basically.
Right. So. So just a couple flowers, and like you said, if you're going to put flowers in there, put potted flowers in there in the garden bed. Don't plant them. Put potted flowers in there so you can take them later if you want. Right?
Take them home.
Or I've had this happen a lot, and you got to be careful with this, because you got to make sure you talk about it when you're talking to your buyers, which we're going to do other podcasts on this the next couple weeks, like how to find buyers, and then how to negotiate with them and all that kind of stuff. We're going to work on some of this stuff the next coming weeks, but. Yep. One of the things that you're going to want to tell them, and you have to be specific with this, is the staging comes with me.
Yeah.
Right? Or you use it as a closing tool, or you charge them for it. I mean, I've had people that paid me $1,000 for all the staging. Or I had a couple one time wanted to buy the staging, and my stager who owned it all said no.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it was too hard for her to find it. They closed with me and immediately went to the house and stole all the staging after they bought it.
Get out of here.
I had to pay for the staging.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. And I was closing on that house. It was like an actual closing. It wasn't a lease option.
And you couldn't prove it, I imagine.
No. Nope.
Shit.
It cost me like $2,500 or something like that out of the closing. All right. When it snows, plow the driveway, shovel the walks. I suck at that, but plow the driveway, shovel the walks. You want them to be able to get in the house. Okay?
Yeah.
If not, then it sets the pace of the sale derogatorily or negatively when they got to walk through the snow.
Well, you know what's worse than snow? When it starts to melt and becomes ice, they can't get up and down. That's the real nasty part. It'll turn to ice.
Make sure the grass is cut and it's weed whacked. In our properties, when we hold them, we do them bi-monthly, every 2 weeks. Like even our apartments, I mean, it cost me like $70 or $80 a month to make sure the grass is cut. You just hire a service, just let them go out there and do it, and just send them their money, because for $70 or $80, you don't want to blow a deal, do you?
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? So just get it done, right? I like to have on the table lamps that we were talking about, with whether you put an end table lamp. I like to put some of those, especially in the entrance. I like to put some of those on timers, so that like especially in New England, like this time of the year, it's going into the fall. The clocks change, and we do all that weird shit that we do with the clocks, and 4:30 at night it's dark, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want them to walk into the house dark. So I'll leave a hall light on, and I'll in the living room and now pay attention to what I'm telling you here, because this is a Bill weirdism. Okay, so I'll put a light where I want them to go, because they'll go towards the light. So like if I want to show off like the living room, I'll put the light in the living room. Or if there's a grand room like off to the kitchen to the left or something, I'll put the light over there so it'll attract them to that room first. Okay. So I'll try to put the light or put a light in a room that will suck them in. You know what I mean? So it's not always can happen that way, but I'll try to do something like that. So it'll attract them to that room, right? I'm going to show off my best room first.
Sure.
You know, I wanted to fall in love quick, right? Good. So to your point, Peter, Christmas time. You know, put a Christmas tree in there. You know, and you don't have to get a big full Christmas tree, but you could get like an end table and get one of those little ones like at Walmart, you know, 3-foot Christmas tree with some lights on it and just plug it in. Or like you do, Halloween time, put pumpkins there. You know, or Easter, put some bunny rabbits and a bowl of candy there. You know what I mean? I mean, sure. just it doesn't have to be a lot. Just, you know, put a bowl of candy there and say, take one. And they will, or the kids will. When they're there, the mother will let the kids have them. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I think it brings the house alive. You know, it's not just a house. It has a connection to the real world that's going through a holiday, and it just makes it more alive.
Right. You know, I just thought of this, and I've never done it. In fact, I'll probably do it the next house. You know, I go to Costco's, and you can buy the box of those, like, chocolate chip cookies in the packages. There's 3 of them. For, like, $10, you can buy a box of them. Just buy a box of those and just put them on the kitchen counter and just take one. So, like I said, when the mother's in there and the kid's hungry, she can give them some cookies.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've never done it. I just thought of it, and I will do it the next house. Right?
It's worth a shot. Hey, Bill, worst that happens is we wind up with cookies in the end.
There you go. Or when we go there, we eat the cookies.
Well, that's just, right? Something like that.
Cookies and cigars. What's better than that?
Ooh, yeah.
Rugs in the bathroom. You know, like around the toilets, in front of the shower. You know, by the sink. You know, it doesn't have to be all 3, but just put some color in there. And guys, listen to me. Please listen to me, guys. Johnny, listen to me. Jefferson, listen to me. You know, Reggie, listen to me. The guys in the group here. Pick the same color. You know, don't have one color towel and another color rug. You know, use the same. No. You're going to use blue. Put blue for everything, okay? Yeah.
You better go to Walmart and get a kit.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a kit.
Okay?
Prefab kit.
So, and you could do that. So put, you know, even if it's just a rug around the toilet and just some sort of like a bath mat in front of the shower, you're good, okay? And then shower curtains. Make sure you put shower curtains where there's not shower doors. If there are shower doors, make sure they're cleaned.
Yeah.
Make sure they are clean. No calcium or any mold or anything like that in them. And what I try to do is when I have doors, I leave them open. You know, I leave the door open so you can see right inside the toilet. Right inside the shower. If they do have that, then sometimes I'll put a shower mat inside the tub, you know, so that you can direct their attention to something being in there, right? So, towels on the racks, you're really good with that. Make sure that in the kitchen, if there's a towel rack, you put a towel on there. If in the bathroom, you don't leave the towel racks empty. Even if you just put one towel in the center, it's fine. But just put towels in the rack. You know, in the bathroom, make sure there's soap on the sink so when somebody goes to the bathroom, they can wash their hands and use the towel to wipe their hands off. You know, you want to make them you want them to stay in the house. You don't want them to leave, right? In the wintertime, of course, I'm here in New England, so in the wintertime, I like to leave the heat on 60 degrees, 58, 60 degrees. I used to turn the furnaces down to 40 degrees because then they won't freeze. But when I'm doing renovations, I do that. But when I'm showing the house, I like to put it on 58, 60, 62, something like that. So when they walk in, it's not ice cold and it's uncomfortable. Right? Put some books on bookshelves if they have any. You know, a lot of times in the living rooms, they'll have built-in bookshelves. put a picture in there and a couple books, like I said, 4 or 5 books with 2 bookends, on the bigger shelf, so that there's some imagination there, right? Sometimes we'll put, and this is not all, I haven't done this recently, but for a very long time I did this. We'll get a blow-up mattress, a bed mattress, like a queen size mattress or something like that. And what you do is you take the mattress and you blow it up, and you just get some cardboard boxes, right? And you put the blow-up mattress on top of the cardboard boxes so it's up high, so it looks like it's on a bed frame, right? You don't need a bed frame or nothing like that. You just put the cardboard boxes down, you put the blow-up mattress on top of it, and then you put bedspreads on it. You don't have to put sheets or nothing, put bedspreads on it. And then you take the pillows and lean them up against the wall so you don't notice that there's no headboard.
Right.
So you take pillows, and you put some sort of, if you buy the bedspread, buy something with pillow covers, and you just stand them up, long ways, so that there's a 24-inch, so you don't notice that there's no headboard, right? And then you just put a little, you get a little girly pillow like a heart or something like that, and put it in between the 2 pillows, and it does amazing. It does amazing. It's amazing aesthetics, right? And it just does a good job. And then just put, like, on one side, not both sides, but on one side, put an end table.
Yep.
Like a bedside table. And I don't mean you need to go buy a bedside table with drawers and cabinets and stuff. Just like a, like a...
You know what? I've used not an end table, a fold-out table. Like a TV table made out of wood. Put in the corner. You put a little tablecloth on it.
Tablecloth on it. That's right. You're great that way.
Yeah. You know what? What I found?
You could buy a set of folding tables and do this all over the house.
Yeah, 4 tables. You know what else? I recently bought an air bed, but it's 24 inches high. They make really tall ones now. Yeah. So you don't even need the box thing. You just pump it up, and it's really high. So it just sits by itself.
Yeah, I would still put it on the box, but the point that I'm making here is once you do that, make sure you put a note, a big note. Please don't sit on the bed. Right? It's it's for aesthetics only, but it's not a real bed. This is not a real bed. Please, please, and they'll be curious and want to see it. Most people will be like, "Oh, this guy's clever." You know what I mean? That's when you put a note like that on there, right? So that's a good thing to do. And then, like I said, maybe an end table on each side of it. But don't do anything else. If you're in that room, if you got blinds in there and you got the bed and the end table, that's all you do. You don't do anything else. Okay? And that's pretty cool. So we just want to provoke the creative juices. Okay? So I think you got the idea, right, Peter? So now, there's more you can do, but just don't overdo it. That's the biggest advice I have is you'd be amazed at what you're saying, a TV tray, a TV table, right? And a tablecloth and a lamp on top of it with a picture would do to a room, right? Or a coffee pot with a couple mugs on the end of a 10-foot counter will do a lot. A rug in front of the kitchen sink with a blind in the window and a little flower, on the right side of the sink does a lot, right? Especially if it smells good and it's clean. Those are the big things. It does a lot. Okay, so don't overdo it. Don't pay a stager to go do it. If you want to, you can, but you don't need to do all that. You just need to, in various rooms, not every room needs something, just in various rooms, just break it up a little bit. So when they're walking around the rooms and looking at 3 bedrooms, one of them's decorated, Put a twin bed blow-up mattress in one of the rooms and put a boy's sheets on there or girl's sheets on there, or just to decorate it. So it's like, oh, this could be Molly's room, or this could be Max's room, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, all right. So you get the idea, right? We're good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Now let's talk about selling it quickly. Okay. So some will not want to do this because I've had coaching clients that are nervous, but I'm going to tell you right now, those are my pain in the ass clients, okay? Because they're worried about shit. And it's like, don't worry about this, okay? And I'm going to tell you the reason why. But I don't show houses. You know that, Peter. I don't show houses at all. I let them go in on their own free will and go, like I said, this is the discovery stage. So they find a sign on Sunday afternoon. They're with their significant other, and they're like, oh, let's go check it out. They're curious, right? So here's how it works, okay? I put out And do not skip this, because in the wintertime when it's frozen here, we have more trouble selling a house because of this. Right? So January and February are my slowest months to sell houses. December is the best month to buy houses. December is my crush it month. You know, it's like that's usually when I buy the most amount of houses is in December. Okay, but when I buy them, I know I'm going to hold them through. Johnny says he doesn't decor nothing. His wife does it all. Perfect. He's a subcontractor. She's the designer. So perfect. Johnny, can we all marry your wife? No. Some of us have to do this on our own, okay? And believe me, my wife could decorate a house, but it would cost me way too much money. Because she would want to buy all these things, and they'd end up in my house, and I'd have more crap in my house, and I don't want that. So, anyways, in January and February, because the grounds are frozen, we can't get signs out, and it affects our sales. So you're going to want to put 10 to 12 signs in the neighborhood. And all the signs say are house for sale, top line, next line, no bank qualifying, next line, a phone number. Underneath that in smaller letter, 24/7 free recorded message. Because people don't want to be sold, they want to discover this. So if you tell them it's a free recorded message, they can call and listen. Okay. Now what you're going to do is all the people that call that discovery sign, you're going to get their caller ID, and when you get ready to start closing on this house and you got all your offers in, you're going to want to send a voice blast out, which I use voiceshot.com. I mean, I have services now that includes my service, but if you don't have a service, voiceshot.com is not that expensive, and you can upload all these phone numbers of people that inquired about the house and send them a message, say, hey, it's the owner of 123 Main Street. I have a couple people interested in the house. I just wanted to make sure your offer's in before I close with one of these people. And it'll provoke a flurry of people to go back and look at the house. You know, remember, it's the house at 123 Main Street. You know, it's next to the YMCA. It's the one with the steeple on the roof, or, you know, the one with the, you know, the Christmas Santa Claus in the basement, whatever, you know, however they would remember it, right? So the signs, there's 12 or 15 signs in the neighborhood. Those are what we call the discovery signs, right? And I do a phone recording just for those signs. So the phone number is going to be just for the discovery signs. So the discovery signs are going to be going to a voicemail box. It pretty much says, you know, house for sale, no bank qualifying. Here's the information you need. It's not a long message. It's basically says it's a 3-bedroom house, 2-bathroom house. You know, it's over by the high school. You know, here's the address. Go check it out 24 hours a day, and I'll show you the house. Okay? Does that make sense, Peter?
Absolutely. No, I saw your video a couple of years ago, and that's what I use when I have one of these puppies.
So the second thing you're going to do is so these signs are going to have like arrows, like at stop signs, to kind of point them in a direction. I like to leave, like it's a Hansel and Gretel effect. You know, I like to leave little breadcrumbs so they can follow the signs and actually get to the house. You know, not like every 3 feet, but, you know, at major intersections, there'll be a sign like a house for sale with an arrow. Okay, so you don't have to go that far out. You can go, you know, in a short radius, because there are drive routes around that house, right? In other words, you come out of the house and you take a right, because that's where the grocery store is. You got to go that way to get to the grocery store, or, you know, that kind of stuff, right? And then the second sign, or the second voicemail that we're going to use, is at the front door. When you get to the house, there's a sign that says, if you're this close and want to get in, call this number. And all it says is, hey, I really appreciate it. Just so you know, we record who goes in and out of the house, or we know who goes in and out of the house. We keep track. So please make sure that here's the lockbox code. Please make sure you close the lockbox code, put the key back in the box, and shut the door, shut the lights off. And if you don't, we know it was you, and we're going to call you and ask you to come back and do it. Okay, something like that, right? So if you're really nervous about this, letting somebody in the house, it'll cost you a little bit more money. But what you can do is you can go to Amazon. You can buy one of those Ring doorbells with the camera in it, and you can put that doorbell right on the front of the house. You're going to have internet access, so you're going to have to pay 30, 40, 50 bucks to have internet in a vacant house. But you can control who goes in and out of the house. So if you're really nervous about it, you can put a Ring doorbell on there, and when somebody comes to the house, it pops up on your phone, and you're saying, oh yeah, no problem, go in, the lockbox number is this. And you can get it that way. I suggest you don't do that because then you're not going to get a phone number, and you're not going to be able to do the follow-up work with later. But some people are going to be nervous about this. I've never had a problem.
No, but I'd rather have somebody's phone number that they can be tracked rather than just a face on a ring. How do you know who that is?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so the phone number, you track that. Police can track that in a second.
Or you could do both. I mean, there's systems out there where you can do both, but they're expensive. They're a couple $1,000s, and you move them from house to house. I mean, I had a coaching client that had all that stuff, and he moved them from house to house, and I wouldn't do all that. More to the point, if for some reason something happens in the house, all you got to do is print out the phone numbers and give them to a police officer and let them go do their research. And sooner or later, they'll figure it out. Okay, so it's not a big deal. Okay, I don't think it is. Once they enter the house, there's a tripod in there with a whiteboard. I use a whiteboard. You can use an easel with one of those flip charts, the paper flip charts, whatever you want to do. It's about the same amount of money. But as soon as I put the easel with this whiteboard right in their way, so they practically trip over it when they walk into the house, right? I know that when we first did this, you kept moving the easel because it was in the way.
I thought oh, hey, Bill, it's in the way, but you want them to see it.
I want them to trip over.
You think they would read it? Yeah, you think they'd read it? They go, hey, it looks. No. They don't. They just they don't read. Who reads?
Right. So on that board, it says 3 things. Number 1, it says look around as much as you want. Make sure this is the house for you, right? So if you're copying this down, it's look around as much as you want. Make sure this house is for you. The second thing is make sure you show anyone who will help you decide to buy this house, so it makes that decision easier. So if it's a husband or a wife or mom and dad, make sure you bring them back.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, go to the kitchen counter and get our info pack for all the details about the house and how to buy without bank qualifying. Right? So at the kitchen counter, you're going to have your offer pack. Okay? Mm-hmm. So the offer pack is, the first page is what we call the MLS sheet, which is not really an MLS sheet. It's just, the picture of the house and all the details of the house. It's going to tell you how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many square feet, all that kind of stuff, right? They call it an MLS sheet because on the MLS they print them. Okay? They print them off. All right? So that's the first page. The second page is if you have other houses, and I'm telling you this works geniusly. I can't tell you how much money I made when I thought of this. In fact, I had a sales manager that actually made a comment to me one time I wonder how we can get people to go from one house to another. And that's when this kind of popped up in my world. It was some years ago, right? So the second sheet is if you got 3 or 4 houses for sale, and I'm telling you, when I get to the end of this podcast and tell you what to do, you're going to be like, holy shit, I didn't think of that. Okay? But if you have other houses for sale, on the left side, I don't make big pictures. They're little, 2x2 pictures on the left side. And to the right, I put a description of the house, right? Or I put the address of the house, and then I put written directions on how to get from where they are now to the next house. Mm-hmm. And if I have 3 or 4 houses, I put all them on that one page. So on the left side is the 2x2 pictures. On the right side is a heading that says the address, and below it is a written directions on how to get from where they are to that house. Mm-hmm. Okay, because they may not like this house and might want a different one. Okay. Then the third section of the offer pack is frequently asked questions. This is a 2-page document that took me some years to accumulate because we found after talking to so many buyers, they all pretty much ask the same questions. How does this no bank qualifying work, and do I need a down payment, and what happens if I don't qualify for a mortgage? Like, and I was going to talk about those today, but I knew that it was going to be too much time. We're already over time, so maybe we'll talk about those in another podcast. But that's frequently asked questions. So it pretty much handles the common objections that they would have, so they don't call you up and ask you the same question, and you talk to 100 people with the same question. And what happens is if you do that, you get burned out, and you're just like, yeah. And then when you actually have a prospect, you won't know it because you're just doing you're running through the drill, and you're like on automation. You're like the robot, and you're not really qualifying because you're talking to too many people. You're talking to too many suspects is what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then the most vital portion of the offer pack is the fourth piece of it is your next step form. Now the next step form is all about the down payment, and I provoke them with things like we take trade-ins, we take campers, we take cars, we take jewelry, and there's a whole list of things underneath, like how much of a deposit do you have, and then we put in a parentheses below it the things that we'll accept. We'll take stocks, all these different things, income tax returns, lawsuit settlements, that's all on this document. And all we're trying to do is create a conversation with them so we can find out where they plan on getting the money from. Okay. There's questions on there like how much money do you have available? How much, what's the most you can pay per month? All that kind of stuff. And then we'll ask them questions like, like they'll put down, they have $8,000 for a down payment. And one of the questions is it available now? Because they'll say we have $8,000 and it's January, but they got to file for their taxes and won't have until February or March, right? Or they're going to do an instant refund or something like that. So you have to ask them, is it available now, right? And then the last section of the pack is a short application. It's a 2-page application. Quite frankly, the application is bullshit because the only reason why we want the application is in case there's a problem later and they don't pay us. We want to know who their friends are, who's their cousin, who's their sister, who's their father. So we can call
where they
them and
work.
Say,
all that stuff.
Yeah, so we can call them and say, hey, have you heard from Johnny recently? I'm his landlord and I haven't heard from him. And you can do your research later, okay? The only thing that we do get on there is their social security number. And I take in the beginning I don't do this, but before they move in, I take an application on everyone that lives in the house. So if it's a husband and a wife, then I need an application on husband and wife. If it's a mother-daughter, mother-son, I take applications on whoever. This is going to be their mailing address, and whoever is going to live in the house, I take a full application on. And I do background checks. Okay? So that's pretty much where it is. The other thing about the offer packs is what I do is I count them. I usually leave 10 of them on the counter, and I have a big sign that says, please take one. Lately, I've been using the yellow corrugated boards. I put a big, put it up against underneath the kitchen counter, and it's like, please take one, and I put them on bottom there so they make sure they don't miss it. But what I do is I'll print up, say, 50 of them or 20 of them or whatever, 30 of them, whatever I print up, and I'll leave 10 on the counter. The rest I'll put in one of the kitchen cabinets or one of the kitchen drawers, so when I go there, I can refill it. Okay, so, or if somebody goes there to check on the house, they can refill it. Which, by the way, when you have a vacant house like that, you should check on them at least 3 or 4 times a week, because funny things happen. People go in, they leave lights on, water running, all kinds of crazy stuff that, if somebody leaves, if a kid goes in the bathroom and turns the water on and it's running for 4 days, that could cost you $300 or $400. So you want to go into the house and make sure you check them. Okay? Now, I'm kind of rushing because I got 2 more pages of stuff here, and we're already at 1 hour and 38 minutes. So I'm going to rush through this, and if you have questions, just send me a support ticket. The guys that are on Facebook and or sending me messages, just send me a note and let me know that I'm doing okay, that this is not too much information and I'm overloading you. Okay, I might have had to do this in 2 podcasts. Okay, so let me catch up to my notes here. So now a couple of things. They don't know, the buyer doesn't know what the price of the house is until they get into it. The first time they see the price of the house is on the flyer pack. Okay? I don't want them to know what the price of the house is. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're doing what we do, which is sell on lease options, the price is never the problem. They want to know how much down and how much a month. That's all they want to know, just like they're buying a car, right? They want to know how much down and how much a month, and they'll pay whatever, right? If they, for some reason, I've had a few wise guys say I'm selling a house for $199,000 or $200,000, and they think the house is worth $180,000. They'll say, well, the house is not worth $200,000. I only want to pay $180,000. I'll just simply say to them, okay, no problem. Can you close within 30 days? And they'll say no. Then I'll say, okay, well, the house is $200,000. If you don't like it, see ya. And that's just the end of it. Okay. Another thing is they don't get my phone number or contact information from me until they go through the pre-qualifying process. And I just gave you the pre-qualifying process because they saw the discovery sign in the neighborhood, they called it, they went to the house, they saw the sign, they entered the house. What the hell did I just do? They called and they entered the house, they read the sign, they went to the flyer pack, they looked around the house, now they're ready to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them before then because I'm not going to put up with tire kickers, and I have a short fuse with that kind of stuff. You think I'm bad on the podcast, you should hear me talk to these people. I had a guy yesterday, I was talking to a guy yesterday that called off of one of my letters, and he's like, you called me, you should know what the house is, and he's like busting my balls, right? And I'm like, dude, here's the deal. You know, I went to the town hall, I got a list of all the houses in the town hall, and the numbers, the addresses that don't match the house, in other words, the tax bill's mailed somewhere else, I mailed to those people. I haven't looked at your house. And he's like, well, go look at it and tell me what you think and make me an offer because everything's for sale. I said, I don't think so. And I hit the end button and I hung up on him. I'm like, screw you. I ain't talking to you no more. I got to prove to you that I got to spend $200,000 to buy your house. You want to sell me your house? You need to sell me your house. You know, like, get away from me. I'm not going to beg you to buy your house. Get away from me. Yeah. It's the same way with buyers. I'm not going to beg them to buy my house, right? I'm going to try to sell it to them, but I'm not going to put up with all the assholes, okay? So they have to go through this marketing. So I have the marketing doing the pre-qualifying, right? I make sure that I do like, I make them feel like they've discovered it, and then they kind of like go through the next step, like they're unraveling this mystery, and at the end, they either perform or they don't. Okay, and it's even better than they used to be because it used to be in the past, what they would do is they'd have to fax in the documents. Nowadays, I just put on the documents, take a picture with your phone and text me. And I get them like, they do it right in the house. You know, it's like, let's do this now. And she'll like whip out her pocketbook and start writing, and he'll start telling her what to write. I mean, I see this all the time, and it's like they just send a picture of the application, and it's done. Then you get on the phone with them, and you call them, and you go meet them, and do whatever you got to do, right? All right, good. So next, they fill out all my paperwork before I meet anybody. So I do not go to the house and meet anybody unless they filled out the next step form and the application.
Right.
And honestly, it's kind of stupid, and I didn't have this advantage when I first started, but I have a private eye that works for me, personally, and I don't pay him. Did you know that?
No, but I feel a joke coming on, Bill.
It's called Mr. Google.
Mr. Google.
His name is Mr. Google, the private eye.
Yeah.
Just type the person's name into Google and see what comes up before you go make the appointment. Just type in their name and just see what happens. And you'd be amazed what would happen.
Yeah.
Or not happen.
Yep.
Right? Or go into Facebook and type in their name. Right? And look at some of the pictures and see what kind of life they live before you even meet them. It's not hard, right? So, anyways, that's filling out the paper. Because I can do this and I know what their, this paperwork, I kind of know what their living arrangements are now. Like they're renting or they're living with mom and dad or they had a foreclosure or whatever. I want to know how much they have for a down payment because a down payment is going to be the amount, is going to be the major factor, okay, and their income. Before I even go talk to them, I know what the down payment situation is and the income, right? Like I have a girl that I just put in a house over in Meriden on Swain Avenue, I think it is, or Swain Road or something. And this girl literally chased me for a month to be in this house, or 3 weeks. And I didn't think they could swing it. And in the end, she worked. She did some amazing stuff. And they pulled it out, right?
Nice.
Now, here's the thing. It's very simple formula. The down payment is the number you pick. I usually go for 10 grand all the time because I'm selling $200,000 houses. I will take less, but I will also interrogate the crap out of them to see if they can give me some now and some later. And I'll write a promissory note on the later, like 3 months later. Like this one in Swain Avenue, I have money coming from them that I wrote a note for $5,000 because they had a lawsuit. And I did my research on the lawsuit, and I made them get things in writing from the lawyer saying it is coming to fruition. And I have all that in my folder. And I wrote a promissory note. Okay. The other thing is that with the income, I try to triple the rent. So if the rent is $1,500 a month, I triple it. So I want to make sure that I have $4,500 a month total income in the house, minimum. So
from their deposit?
No.
From what?
The rent.
Just accumulating the rent. Okay.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that I have triple the rent payment. So if it's $1,500 a month, I want to make sure I have $4,500 a month in income coming into the household. Mm-hmm. So I know that they could pay the rent.
Oh no, I got you. Like, yeah, that's like a landlord thing. If somebody wants to rent, I had somebody call me want to rent my place, and he made like $400 a month. Like, no.
Right. And at the end, if they don't convince me that they're motivated, I don't waste my time. Mm-hmm. So it's just like when you're dealing with sellers, if they're not motivated or you don't feel like they're motivated, then stay away from them, right? Mm-hmm. So the other thing is I take multiple deposits. I have a document that costs me about $6,000, and no, you're not getting it unless you're a coaching client. It's not even in. I don't even think it's in my documents section. It might be. I don't remember, but I have a document that costs about $6,000 and it allows me to take multiple deposits. So. And I'm talking about, substantial deposits. I'm not talking about $100. I'm talking about $1,000, $500, $1,000, $2,000 deposits. And then we accumulate those deposits over several weeks, and we decide who we want to put in the house, who's the best candidate. Mm. And they know that we're doing that. They know they have to compete. Okay? One of the best things in the world that you could do, Peter, and I'm not even going to talk about this today because we're 20 minutes over as usual, is to create an auction environment. Mm-hmm. So what I've done in the past, and I haven't done it in a while because I don't need to, but you advertise like crazy for 2 weeks that you're going to do an auction between 11 a.m. and 12 a.m. on Saturday, or 12 p.m. on Saturday for 1 hour or 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. And they can go look at the house, and when you get there, basically what you do is you get 3 or 4 people that are serious in the kitchen and have them fill out the applications, and the deposit's the next step form in the application. So just by the sheer presence of 4 people filling out paperwork, they're going to give the higher numbers so they can win the auction. And the auction's pretty much who can pay the most deposit and who can pay the most per month. And that's the auction. It's not the auction of the price, it's the auction of the deposit and the money, right? So, but it allows us to take multiple deposits, okay? The biggest benefit to this whole process, and here's the magic that I've been promising the whole podcast. Imagine you collected all these names of people that were interested in your house.
Yeah.
They're actual buyers, right?
They're looking.
Or could be buyers, right? Mm-hmm. They're part of the 81% most of the time. I'm going to tell you 30% of those people are qualified for a mortgage. Mm. Okay? So if you gathered those names, 20 names, 30 names, 50 names, 100 names, mm-hmm. Then when you walked into a seller's house, right, trying to buy it or acquire it, and said, I have 10 people qualified to buy this house, or 50 people, or 100 people qualified to buy this house, and they're ready to go, right, would that build confidence in you? How much selling do you need to do to a customer, a seller that says, I got 50 people that are trying to buy a house.
Yep.
And they're ready to go, just the way I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. It turns evergreen. Because you constantly have these names, right? So the more houses that you promote and sell, the more names you get for buyers and the faster you could do it. So now, imagine this. A seller is on the fence about your offer. Right?
Yeah.
You ask for a few days to contact your list, say a week. You see how much interest you have with your sellers, with your buyers list, because you send out an email and see how much interest you have. Right? That's called bringing a property to the market.
Yeah.
So if you have a lot of interest, then you're going to call the seller up and say, I got a lot of interest. We should sign a contract. And you could show them emails. You can give them evidence, like print emails and stuff, right? Or text, or however you're doing it.
Yeah.
And it would help you close deals. Now, the last thing is, even if in the beginning, all right, you take deals that are close, like you can't make a lot of money with the deal, like a slot deal, you should take it just to build the buyer's list. Right? So promote the property just to build your buyer's list so that you can get those 20, 50, 75 names, which you should be able to do in 1 or 2 deals, 100 names, 200 names, whatever it is, right? And build your buyer's list so that you can buy more houses. So the benefit may not be in the deal. You might only make a couple grand or 1,000, or maybe not even make anything on a deal, and learn how to make the deal and accumulate this list that's worth a fortune. Because now the next deal you go into, you can say, hey, I got 83 people that are on my list, and they're pre-qualified and they're ready to buy a house. I can turn them onto your house with a flip of a switch. So why don't you let's sign this option agreement for 7 days, and let me see what I can do. And if I have interest, I'm going to come back and want to have the option agreement for 3 months, 90 days.
Interesting. Just a 1 week, just to show them that, because what's he got to lose for 1 week? We talk to people like, well, let me think about it for a week. I just started. I got another offer. So, hey, give me a week.
Yeah.
Then you do and you don't have to close in the week. That's putting a lot of pressure on us. But then you buy the 90-day.
And then you come back to them and say, okay, so I've got 36 people that responded. I can send you some evidence of that. Copies of emails or texts or whatever, screenshots, and say, here's some people, and give me 90 days on an option agreement. Which, by the way, the option agreement is. They could still list with a realtor and all that kind of stuff. All you're saying is just give me an opportunity to close one of these people. Just show them the house and close one of these people. So I need to make arrangements to show these people the house, and you're just one step further into building confidence in your seller when you're acquiring.
Right? That's crazy good.
So, building this buyer's list is a good thing. Now, I'm not suggesting you have to do that, but if you do in the beginning, you do a couple deals just to learn how to do it, because you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to learn how to do a couple deals. So do a couple deals just for your education. Don't try to make a ton of money on it. Just get your education. Because once you get your education, then the money will come later. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Well, you could get your education by paying $1 gazillion or paying less, but doing the process,
Right.
That's why I like working with you, or people like working with you, because it doesn't cost a lot, but they learn as they go doing it instead of just spending a bunch of money, theoretically learning all about it, and then you're cut loose to do it by yourself. That's not good.
Right.
That's not good.
No, we aren't doing that around here.
That's not good.
At the end, to end off, because I'm way over time here, that's what realtors do. They have open houses. So the biggest lie in the real estate system with the real estate mafia is that they're doing an open house. Open houses are done for only 2 reasons. Number 1, to satisfy the seller, thinking that the realtor is actually doing something. And number 2, so that the realtor can gather buyers' names for other houses.
His own client list.
That they never, the percentage, that's right, his own client list for buyers. The percentage, I forgot what it is, it's very low, it's like below 20%. The percentage of the realtor finding a buyer in an open house is like very low, like 8% or something like that. Yeah. It's a very low number. But they do it to do show and tell for the seller, so that look what I'm doing for you, I'm working for you. And number 2, they gather a buyer's list on names and numbers for other houses that they can sell, and they can turn around and sell those to the buyer's list. Okay?
Okay.
That was a lot of stuff, Peter. We should have done this. We should have done it in 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
That was what?
I thought we were done half an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I was happy.
So we're going to cut out. Please scroll down into the description. There's a lot of free stuff in there that you can get. Click on the link to go to the free stuff page, so that you can get started in doing some stuff. go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and scroll down to the podcast right below it. You can leave us a review. Please leave us any kind of review, good, bad, or indifferent. And also make sure you subscribe to wherever you listen to us, whether it's YouTube or whether it's on some podcast platform. Just subscribe so you know we're here every week. And lastly, if you have any questions, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right hand side it says support. Just send me a support ticket, and I answer them myself several times a day. Lately, it's been kind of hard because I get a lot of them. But just go in there, and if you got deals or you got questions, just go in there. I'll go as far as and if I think you're impinging upon coaching, I'll tell you you're impinging upon my coaching. This is really a coaching question. I'll answer this question, but after that, you need to get into the coaching group. So, also, last thing I want to say is we've changed my website some. Especially the courses page. Go check it out. Okay? So with that said, Peter, we're over and out, man.
So long.
I'm gonna go rest my voice because I got a dry throat right now from talking so much.
Yeah, you need to rest it before you smoke on it.
Oh, stop. Is that how you feel?
You don't want to smoke. You don't want to smoke on a dry. You don't want to smoke on a dry throat now, do you?
Exactly.
Okay.
It is cigar 30, so I have to go. All right. We're over now. Talk to you next week.
So long.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.